Hey everyone, welcome to StreamYard Spotlight tonight. I am your host, Dana Benz, and for those of you who are regulars here, you'll notice my co-host extraordinaire is out this evening. She has a prior engagement. She's actually live streaming in another event, so she couldn't make it tonight. But we have a great show for you tonight. So welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome to the newcomers. So you've reached us on StreamYard Spotlight Show. We go live every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, and we interview a new guest that's using StreamYard in really unique ways, in really neat ways, in just using the cool features of StreamYard to make any kind of event, any live stream event, any conference event, and we're going to talk a lot about conferences in general on tonight's episode. So I'm very excited for the guests we have on tonight. But from wherever you're tuning in from, thank you so much for being here. I see Ross is in the chat. Hey Ross, thanks for tuning in, and we have Beauty Bubble in the chat, and I see NLTMW. Mike, thanks for being here, and Marisa. Hey, how's it going? So a couple things. One thing before we start is we have a very Ross Brand, who does StreamYard Connect every Wednesday on StreamYard's YouTube channel. He is having a big celebration tomorrow. So I wanted to shout out his show on our show tonight. It's his 5th anniversary party live stream show, and I think it's such a fun idea that he's celebrating this event by making it an event. He's celebrating his 5th year anniversary. So he's so many guests lined up. I'm going to be on his show for, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, and he has so many guests lined up. It starts tomorrow at, I think it's 10 a.m. PST, so I think that's 1 EST. Ross, since you're in the comments, let me know if I have that right. And April's here. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have David. Wow, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I love seeing where you're all tuning in from. So thanks for being here. And catch Ross's show tomorrow. I think it's on Livestream Universe's YouTube channel. Perfect. You can find that there. Maybe Ross can post the link in the chat. And then another thing that's coming up is the StreamYard Town Hall. They're the two co-founders, Gage and Dan. They go live every Sunday. They're coming up on their 100th live stream episode. So that's going to be, we're going to have to do some kind of fun party, fun activity to celebrate the 100th episode. But back to Spotlight News. Thank you so much for all the comments, you guys. Thank you for tuning in. We have Woody. We have Steve, and thank you so much, Ross. Can't wait for the party. Yeah, me too. I think it's going to be a good one. So without further ado, I want to bring on Simon Scriver, our guest today.
Hello.
Hey, Simon. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. I'm totally fangirling here because I love StreamYard in the show. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm here.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Well, thank you for taking the time to tell us all about what you do. But for the people who are out there who don't know who you are and who don't know who Fundraising Everywhere is, can you talk a little bit, can you give a little brief background on who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So I have been working in the nonprofit sector. I'm based in Ireland, in Dublin. So okay. It's midnight here. And I've been working in the nonprofit sector.
Thanks for staying up.
Yeah, it's all right. Well, I work funny hours now, and time is kind of meaningless now, isn't it?
Oh,
but yeah, so I've been working in the sector, fundraising, working with a lot of nonprofits, and speaking at a lot of conferences, a lot of real life conferences around the world. So I do a lot of training and things like that. And a couple of years ago, I met my now business partner, Nikki Bell. And last year, pre-COVID, we kind of came up with the idea of starting to do virtual conferences within the nonprofit sector to train fundraisers and help them, raise more money. And, and that was obviously before COVID and more kind of led by things like environmental issues. We were going to a lot of conferences and seeing people from all over the world fly in for these one-day conferences, and just also an accessibility issue. Obviously a lot of nonprofits work with people with accessibility issues who can't get to events, who can't fly, who can't, who even struggle to get a train or go down the road. So it just seemed like there was a real need for it. So we ran our first conference last year. Not expecting to make any money, not expecting to have much of an audience, and it just really exceeded all expectations. So we kind of realized we were onto something and kept doing it, and people started asking us to do it for them. And then obviously coronavirus is, we were kind of there when everyone was trying to quickly get across. We were already doing it, and so it's been wild. It's been fun but crazy.
Wow. So for the people in the audience, let me know if you have any questions for Simon. But I'm so interested. So your conferences, they started off in person, and you had to make the transition to online?
No, I mean, like I would attend conferences, so conferences that other people had run.
I
So,
see.
a lot in the United States and Canada and across Europe and things. So I was very much a public speaker. I would speak on stage in front of crowds and train people. And I met a lot of great speakers around the world who, I would love to bring to Ireland or bring to the UK or bring somewhere else. And it's just so impossible to be flying all these speakers everywhere.
Well,
and so
not cost effective.
It just makes no sense a lot of the time. As much as I love conferences, I love going to conferences and I miss them. And it was like a big part of my business. But now, when myself and Nikki set this up, we just felt there was something there. And so we started from scratch, and we had to kind of, I had been doing videos and live streaming just kind of for fun and with my own mailing list and things like that. But we needed to find out how to do it bigger and more around that conference style, make it more of an event. And that was kind of when we stumbled upon StreamYard, and it just it answered most of our problems, or a huge chunk of our problems, and how to do that.
Cool. What a fun story. So how did you stumble upon StreamYard? Like, where did you hear about it? How did it come to you?
God, I actually, that's a good question. I mean, I'd been doing stuff with YouTube and Facebook and the bits and pieces around the place, and like OBS. I've been doing it, and there's only so much that could do, or there was only as simple as we could make it. And so I think we were just trying all these different products, and then I stumbled upon StreamYard. I'm guessing possibly Russ Brand or something like that. When you search for live streaming, he often comes up. So I think we just kind of, I went in for a trial, and I was like, this is so simple. And you can make it complicated if you want to do fancy things. But for the speakers and for the attendees, it's so simple. And that was our key from the beginning was, people don't want to be messing around with Zoom downloads and logins and all this add-on software and stuff. We wanted to be simple for clients, and we managed it, I think.
Wow, very neat. And it's so true that it's not only easy for the host, like the one who's doing it all, like you as the producer, it's nice and easy, but it's also more importantly, it's easy for the people you bring on. And when you book a really important person, an important speaker, you don't want them to be worried about oh, what's this new thing I have to download or sign into or give my Facebook credentials away to. None of that you have to worry about when you have them log into your StreamYard stream.
I mean, it kind of like StreamYard is part of our thing. It fits into a lot of other areas which we might talk about. It's one part of our bigger events, because obviously our events have lots of different features that feed into it. But when our speakers come into the StreamYard backstage, and we make a big thing of it, we're like, you're in the green room. Would you like a glass of wine? Would you like a canapé? And a little wine emoji,
cute.
And things like that.
Cute.
And consistently speakers come back to us and they're like, I've never spoken at an event like a virtual thing like this. They've all been on Zoom, which is boring as hell. It's just so, no offense to Zoom, but it's so stiff looking and it's so mechanical. And then they come into this and it's a little bit, cleaner. We bring a bit of energy to it. And so we actually get business from our speakers, because they leave the event and then they go back to their organization or they go back to their contacts and they say, you should do your event through these guys. And so they end up coming back to us. So, I mean, all of our business is word of mouth. People who attend our events, speakers who come to events, they just see it and they've never seen anything like it.
Nice.
It's great.
Wow, that's so neat. I love that the speakers that come to your event are it's new and fun and fresh, and it's not the boring way to do things. Because I just like to think of StreamYard as that way. And I think our culture here as employees is kind of that way, since we're still a small company. We're still in that startup. We're still all trying to be cool at StreamYard. So I love that the speakers are seeing that too. So it's neat that's coming through the product. So can you talk a little bit more about how your conferences look? So part of the business is you host conferences, like you have your own conferences,
Yeah.
and then the other part is you put on conferences for others. So how does that work, and where is StreamYard involved?
Yeah, so it's kind of, I mean, we kind of have two businesses, and one is our own events, like training events, and we do some, mainly around nonprofits and how nonprofits can operate better. Like we have an event coming up a couple of weeks, which I believe we're using StreamYard for, which is about accessibility in the nonprofit sector and how there's so many barriers for people, with disabilities and things like that. So we have an event like that, it's so part of our business is putting on our own events, and then the other part is people coming to us wanting to put on events. So when they come to us to put on events, it's not like one size fits all. We sit down with them, or we virtually sit down with them, and figure out what they're trying to do, and where they're trying to show that event, what they want their audience to do, and that affects how we build it. So sometimes we are just simply streaming to a Facebook group or a page or onto Twitter or something like that, and StreamYard does that. But a lot of our events, we actually, and this is such a good feature of StreamYard and live streaming in general that people don't really seem to grasp, is that you can embed that video on your own site.
Yes.
And so we often embed that video, the conference video there, but then we build this microsite around it, and it might have a donation button, and it has the chat box, it has a chat box in it. And it has more information on the charity. So people come to this event because they want to hear from a special guest or a speaker. But then, the thing about these events and all our live streams, there has to be a point to it. What do you want people to do at the end? Right. And so we build these events around, okay, what's the next action we want people to take after doing this? And it needs to be easy to find. On Zoom, you're kind of telling people to go to a website, or you're maybe copying and pasting in the chat. But here you can actually have like pop-ups, you can have surveys, you can have all these things built around this embedded video, and it works so well.
That's a great idea. So can you talk about how you're embedding the StreamYard video onto your own site? Yeah,
so I mean, there's a few ways you can do it. A lot of the time we'll stream to Vimeo. So so we use the StreamYard RTMP connection, and we just stream to Vimeo, and I'm counting the days until StreamYard is directly linked to Vimeo.
I know. We have that on our list. It's some to-do list item.
But it still works really, really well. And so very often it's Vimeo, and then Vimeo just gives you this embed code that you put into the website, and then we have professional web designers who build around that. So it's lovely and easy. Sometimes, depending on what we need to do and what's maybe requirements around subtitles or things like that, we might instead use YouTube. We might use a different application. We might use our own application. So again, it depends on the event and the requirements of it. Some people don't want subtitles. Some people do want subtitles. Some people don't want, certain features. And so we decide on that. But more often than not, StreamYard plays a role in that because it just does so much of what people are looking for.
Oh, how cool. And Chami says, what chat platform are you using when you embed the video on the website? Is it YouTube live chat? That's a good question.
No, so we don't really use YouTube live chat. And I'm actually struggling to remember why, but there was a few things I didn't like about it. I like the Vimeo chat. It's quite simple. And we've even done things where we've embedded a YouTube video, but embedded a Vimeo chat, just because they both give different things. Right. But we've also used third-party plugins like Minute or Rumble Talk, and we're about to launch in November our own one built into our website.
Cool.
Because we have members and we have regular attendees, and we want them to come back to their own place. So it was just kind of a logical next step for us to build our own one. But the Vimeo one has been good. Rumble Talk I was really impressed with. There's a lot out there, but again, each event is different, really, which is painful, but also it makes the client happy.
It's hard work. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You got to customize it to each person.
Yeah, completely.
So Randy asks, what kind of interaction does StreamYard have, such as poll questions, etc., or is it strictly for speakers and audiences? So I want you to answer how you're using StreamYard, like interaction wise. So you talked a little bit about the chat, but what else are you doing for that interaction?
Yeah, I mean, a big part of it, a big part of the StreamYard feature is actually just taking comments and putting them on screen. Like it seems like such a little thing, but actually it reminds people it's an event. It reminds people they're part of it. And so we do that quite a lot. We'll take comments and we'll put them on screen, especially at the end of an event when people are kind of raving about it. We'll just put comment after comment after comment on it, like a lot of StreamYarders do. And it just creates this buzz about it. So I really like those comment features. And then just that embed facility does allow us to put these added extras on. Like we did a conference a couple months ago for fundraisers in the arts. So fundraisers who raised money for the arts. Oh, and one of the things we built into the site was a virtual museum. So if people got sick of the sessions, they could go into this virtual museum and walk around and look at artwork and read stuff in it. Okay, and it was just like these little quirky add-ons. So, as much as I love YouTube and as much as I hate Facebook, it's like by embedding it on your own site, it just opens up everything, and this is kind of what we say to people. It's like, don't restrict yourself with what you've seen already on a live event. Yep. What features are out there, and if you look on the internet for what cool quirky things there are, like, it's limitless. And so we've had events where there's a whiteboard people are writing on. We've had events where there's like a message board people are putting their own videos on. And just all that stuff allows people to be part of it and make it feel like more of a, less of a webinar and more of an event.
Less of a webinar and more of an event. I like that. So you're trying to make it more engaging, but like, not only that, you're trying to really make the audience feel like they're in the webinar with you, and it's not just you, like talking heads is sometimes what we call a boring webinar. It's just two talking heads. Yeah. So you're using all these different creative features to make to bring the audience into the show.
Completely. It's all, we talk a lot about surprise and delight, myself and my partner, and it's like, how can you break people out of what they're expecting? So when people log on to a training event, they've been on Zoom a million times and they expect it's going to look the same. They expect it's going to be a series of people talking, and they expect they're going to half pay attention while they check their emails. But then suddenly we'll like do like a musical montage, or we'll have, a little break where we show pictures of attendees' dogs, or we'll have like weird stuff walking across the screen. We'll just do something that's going to make people be like, oh, I haven't seen this before. And we get like a huge flow of people coming to us. All of our business comes from people seeing that. We did a virtual event award, we keep getting it wrong, an award ceremony this week for charities who had done virtual events. We ran our own award ceremony.
Oh, how cool. That's fun.
One of the things we did for that is we hired some celebrities through a thing called Cameo. I don't know if people know Cameo, but basically you pay celebrities surprisingly low amount of money and they record a short message for you, whatever you want them to say. Oh, cool. And we had like Lindsay Lohan, we had someone from Geordie Shore, if you know Geordie Shore.
No way.
And so we had these celebrities who presented awards, and it was just like people were like, what is going on here? And it was just like, it was so funny.
Wow, that's so neat. And I love how you get to kind of do it all. Like you put on your own events, and then like your awards show was your own event, right? And then you're the producer for all these other, like when people are like, oh, I want an event just like yours. Like, can you do it for me? That's your role.
You learn so much from doing it yourself, don't you? So, we've taken the expertise of running our own events and we bring it to people. Like we can see the trend in ticket sales that virtual events get. We know virtual event ticket sales double the day before an event. And so when we talk to our clients, we can say like, hey, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see a very low thing of sales, and then in the last 2 weeks, it's going to pick up, and then it's going to spike in the last day. And so by having lived it, by being a host, by having been a producer, by having edited video, I haven't done any of those very well, but just by doing them, you learn like what works and what doesn't, and then you can kind of use that to design other people's events.
Cool. How cool. And it was Red One that said very informative show. Thank you so much. And I feel the same way. Like I'm learning so much. And Cha Mi has another question about the chat comments. So she or he is asking, can you highlight the chat comments if you're embedding the live stream?
Yeah, so no. And this is, if you embedded YouTube chat, then you could.
Right.
But because we use third parties chat and then our own chat, currently it doesn't, until we can figure out a way to make it talk to StreamYard. So
Yeah.
actually, and this is pretty scrappy, but a lot of the time we'll copy and paste the comments.
Oh, like
And
into
so
a banner.
yeah, and so it's like for us,
Ah.
it's a massive pain in the ass, and it's messy and it's whatever. But for attendees, which is the important thing, it
Yeah.
looks really cool.
I
And
guess
so
that's true.
a
Yeah.
lot of the stuff
So
we
you
do
just
behind the
put the
scenes is
name.
like crunching things together and breaking stuff and fixing stuff. But the whole purpose of it is
my
for the
God.
viewer, it looks seamless.
Right. So you just copy the comment from Vimeo if you're streaming there, and then
Yeah.
you paste it in the banner, and then you just add the person's name. As
Yeah.
easy as that.
I know it's.
But if there's a lot of comments, yeah, I can just imagine. Like sometimes the comments come in so fast you can't even click on them. I can't even imagine copying and pasting them.
I know, it's a skill, but it just kind of works. It's even hard to explain it, but it just works.
Yeah. Well, you're making it work. And until StreamYard has an integration with Vimeo, then that's the workaround. That's working for
wonderful. Wonderful.
So my last question before I let you go, Simon, I want to know from you. So you're in this virtual events space, and some people have kind of had the mindset like we're in this lockdown period. Everyone's streaming right now. Everyone has to do their events online. But what do you think the virtual events space will look like next year or in the next couple of years? Like, where do you think it's going?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's certainly not going away, is it? And I think anyone who thinks like that is dreaming. Things aren't going back to the way they were for a long time. But I think the fact that people have been forced into this is showing them, and I think, we've had clients who this is their first ever time. They've been doing a real life event for years and they bring it to virtual kicking and screaming. They don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And then they've made more money and had more attendees than they've ever had before. And so, like, we know they're probably still going to do their real life event as soon as they can. But I think the hybrid is the next thing, is where it kind of brings together. And then the other thing that we're really pushing in our events now is I find this so funny that when we went virtual, when everyone started going virtual, people saw it as a restriction in that you could no longer be in this conference center or a training room. You had to be stuck at your desk. Right. But I think what we're going to see more and more of is people who realize the beauty of live streaming is you can do it from anywhere. And so, we've had presenters speak from Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, or you might say Notre Dame. Or we've had people speaking from their garden. Or, we've had charities who take a mobile phone and walk around their project. We've had chefs in the kitchen, and so it's like, I think that's a big thing. If you don't have to be at your desk, you can really make this live stream stand out. So I think we're going to see more and more of that, is people actually realizing this isn't a barrier. It's actually unlocking all this stuff that we never could have got before.
Yep. Oh, how interesting. That's so neat to hear. And it's neat to hear that live streaming isn't going away. It'll be like, yeah, I hope not too. StreamYard hopes not.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, Simon, thank you so much for being on the StreamYard Spotlight Show. It was so fun to hear your tips and tricks and how you're using it for your conferences. I think that's such a unique way you're using StreamYard.
Thank you very much for having me. And honestly, well done to you guys. You guys have really just cracked it. And I love it. And I look forward to seeing, what features you roll out. And I'm just, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if people want to get in touch with you, Simon, where can they do that? Where can they hire your services?
Yeah, so fundraisingeverywhere.com is our website. We have a new website coming next month. So you'll see that this one is in the process of breaking and scrappy, which I seem to like. But we've got some really cool new features coming up on ours. And if anyone wants to get in touch with me, I'm Simon at fundraisingeverywhere.com. Feel free to get in touch or find me on LinkedIn. And you'll generally find me live streaming.
That we should put that on our applications or our resumes. You'll find me live streaming.
Yeah, that's where you find me.
That's what I do in my spare time. Well, Simon, thank you again so much for being on the show. It's been so fun to hear your perspective and hear your feedback on StreamYard.
Thank you, Dana. Stay safe and good luck to you and your fellow Americans next week. We will be watching and biting our fingernails and hoping for you. So take care. Look after yourself.
Thank you. Thank you. And you too. Stay safe. See you. Oh, so fun. I love hearing how Simon's embedding. So he's embedding the Vimeo, and then sometimes he's using the Vimeo chat over on Vimeo, and then he's copying and pasting that into a banner. I think that's a great idea for when you're streaming to your own website and you don't have the chat option on your website, or you don't have the integrated chat to StreamYard, but that's like the workaround is to turn it into a banner, and then you can still show all the comments on screen. I think that's a great idea. And he's able to put buttons up too, like links for donation, like donate now. I think a lot of people have been wanting something like that for a StreamYard show. And that's one way to do it, is to put it on your own website. So if you have any questions for Simon, reach out to him. Fundraisingeverywhere.com is where you can find him. And we'll see you tomorrow on Ross Brand's 5th anniversary show, or we'll see you on another StreamYard show coming up soon. So this has been another episode of StreamYard Spotlight. We will see you next week at 8 p.m. Eastern. Thanks, everyone.